All right, Ben, here we go. We're moving out of step one. Can you believe we're only at step two? Step one's the most important step, though. And I think, honestly, as I've been thinking about it over this past week, I'm like, I almost want to do like a whole book on step one.
Yeah.
You know, just like recapturing your dreams. Over the past week or so, talk to me about what you've thought. I mean, have you thought about your dream at all? Have you thought about what we did last week and just like kind of recapturing some of those things and starting to go after some big stuff?
I noticed that throughout my week, I had like a much deeper sense of purpose, which led me
Yeah.
to just go harder on things that normally I'd be like,
Yeah.
not that big of a deal. But
Yeah.
because I had that underlying sense of purpose,
Yeah.
I felt so much more motivated. And just like looking back on it, I wasn't even thinking about it until you just asked, but I just had such a better quality week overall.
I think one of the things that I want to encourage you to, I think you need to work on still, and especially as we, start, you're going to get a lot of content over the next several weeks. There's going to be so much, and ideally, this would be like a 6 month to a year long process.
I could see that for sure.
Because like you just have to circle on some of these things for a litling while, and so like envisioning the future is great. One of the things we talked about last time too is like we need to count the cost a little bit. We need to figure out like, is this worth going after, and am I willing to make the sacrifices?
Right.
And so we made a list of like all of the things that could stop you from actually achieving it. And so I gave you that chicken scratch list, and I would encourage you to go back over the list and do it again. Again, just ask yourself the question, what could stop me from achieving this future that I want? What are some things that could get in the way? And then that out of that list is what you then start to set goals with. So for instance, like one of the things was you'd said like, well, if I don't have the chops, that was one of the things that could stop you from doing it. It's like, okay, well, what do we need to do to start work on the chops, right? To start improving your musical ability, start improving your voice, start improving your stage presence, all these different things. What are some goals that we can set? Is there a camp that we can go to? Is there a coach that we can get for those specific things? And I think maybe way too many people can count the cost and say, yeah, I want that. But if you don't actually start taking actionable steps towards it, like your future is not going to come to you. And so you need to start using that list to actually go down. And we can talk about it over the next several months too, but like we need to start creating like a plan for your life out of those things that you said could get in the way, because we need plans that are going to make sure that that doesn't get in the way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure.
So for the sake of just taking you down this path so you understand it, I want us to face the music a little bit. So last week we went through some numbers, and we were able to kind of see where your head was at. Do you know your money? And you kind of do. But one of the things that you realize pretty quickly is that there should be a lot of extra money left over.
That's right.
You know, because there's like, you figured out how much you made, which was about 10,000 less than you thought you had made, which is great news. It's better to have more than not enough, right? But now we got to figure out where the rest of the money's going, and that's where we audit your budget. So what I want us to do, and we can do some of this off camera, but what you're going to do right now is we're going to go through your bank account, and we're going to start categorizing things. We're going to create a spreadsheet on the computer where you categorize all of your expenses, and then you figure out in your budget, where are my expenses at, right? And then from there, we can actually get real and figure out where the money's going. Because we're going to see maybe some shocking numbers you didn't realize. You know, maybe, you like to go to Chipotle way more than you thought, or maybe Claire likes to get her nails done more than you thought. You're like, wait a second, I didn't know you got your nails done. Well, it turns out when you look at the money, right, you're going to start seeing some expenses. So let's spend some time doing that, and then we'll go back and kind of talk about what we find. So I'm not mad about this at all. So a couple of things.
Have you lost respect for me at all on a scale of 1 to 10? Like, where was your respect for me before this?
You're in a super great spot financially. Super great spot.
That's what I like.
Because your outgoing is not bad at all. You're not in debt, which is fantastic. Most people who are watching this are going to be head over heels in debt, which is just the average. To be an American, to be an average American, you have a ton of debt. You have a lot of credit cards. You've overspent for a long time. You haven't overspent for a long time. You're young in the very beginning, which is fantastic. That's why we're doing this, because we want to get you off on the right foot. So for every young person watching, this is a great opportunity to get your crap together.
Let's go.
Right? Before it gets bad, before it gets horrible, you got to fix the problem before it gets bad.
good.
Once it's bad, it takes a long time to unlearn those bad habits. A long time. But you're in a great spot. I feel real good about where you're at. Now what we need to do is start being predictive. So we need to understand exactly how much we're going to have in the bank account at the end of every month. So now what you need to do on a month-to-month basis, we've just done January. February only has a couple weeks to go. You need to make sure that once March hits, the very beginning of March, you do exactly what we just did. You take all of the transactions from February and you categorize them and you figure out how much you spent and you audit it.
All right.
Right? Yeah. So in the next couple of weeks, we're going to go through actually setting up a budget. So we'll actually have some real budget numbers to go through, and then you're going to audit that budget on a consistent basis. But to get started, you're in a good spot. There's a lot of people who are in a way worse spot than you. I'm not mad about it.
Sweet.
Okay?
Blessed.
We face the music, and the music is okay. It's not bad. You know, some sounds like do-do-do-doom. Yours sounds like dun-dun-dun-dun.
I like that sound.
That's your music.
It's all right sound.
That's my music for you today. All right, good job, Ben.
Thanks.
Yep.